Imagine walking into a supermarket to buy toothpaste. You just want clean teeth, but now you're staring at a wall of options: whitening, herbal charcoal, fluoride-free gel paste, sensitive, extra strength. Why does something so simple feel so complicated? Now think bigger. Choosing what to eat, what to wear, where to work, who to marry, what to watch on Netflix. Every day we're faced with decisions that seem small, but they pile up. And here's the real twist. More choices were supposed to make us happier, but what if the truth is, they don't? Have you ever walked away from a decision feeling uneasy, even if you got exactly what you wanted? Ever scrolled for hours only to close the app without choosing a single thing to watch? That's not just you. That's a silent epidemic of our time, and it's stealing our peace of mind. In today's video, we're diving into the paradox of choice, Why More is Less, by Schwartz. This book uncovers how the freedom to choose, something we all think is a blessing, can quietly become a curse. And we're going beyond the surface. We're exploring the psychological traps, the invisible pressures, and the surprising science that explains why sometimes having less can actually give us more. You'll learn why having too many options leads to anxiety and decision fatigue, how even the act of choosing can rob us of joy, and why what we think is freedom might actually be a prison with invisible walls. Schwartz doesn't just point out the problem. He exposes how modern life is designed to overwhelm us with choices and how it changes the way we think, feel, and even value ourselves. You'll hear about the two kinds of decision makers, maximizers and satisficers, and why one is much more likely to be miserable. We'll also reveal how having more options increases not just doubt, but regret, even when you make the best possible choice. But that's not all. What if we told you that companies, marketers, and even governments exploit our obsession with choice, that they know our minds get overloaded and use it to manipulate us? Stay with us, because these are the secrets most people miss. And here's something you won't find in the summary sections. The real cost of freedom is not just confusion or regret, it's exhaustion. We'll talk about decision fatigue, a hidden force that makes you more likely to make bad choices by the end of the day, like buying things you don't need or agreeing to things you'll later regret. It's not just theory, it's backed by brain science and behavioral studies. This isn't just about shopping or streaming or picking the right phone. It's about how we live, and how the pressure of constant decision-making can erode our happiness, sabotage our relationships, and weaken our ability to focus on what really matters. By the end of this video, you won't just understand the paradox of choice, you'll feel it. And more importantly, you'll know what to do about it. We'll share practical ways to simplify your life, reduce anxiety, and reclaim your time and attention. Because sometimes the power isn't in saying yes to everything, it's in learning when and how to say no. So if you've ever felt like the weight of too many options is crushing your joy, if you've ever second-guessed your decisions to the point of exhaustion, or if you're just curious about how to find peace in a world that constantly demands more, this video is for you. Welcome to Narrative Society, where we decode powerful ideas, one story at a time. If you find value in thoughtful breakdowns like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a chance to see the world through a different lens. Let's begin. Before we talk about how to find peace in a world full of options, we need to understand something deeper, something we often mistake for freedom. Most people believe that having more choices equals more control, more independence, more happiness. It sounds logical. If you're free to choose anything you want, you should feel powerful, right? But the truth isn't that simple. In the paradox of choice, Barry Schwartz argues that more options don't always empower us. Sometimes they do the opposite. They paralyze us. They drown us in possibilities until we can't breathe, can't decide, can't act. This is what he calls the illusion of freedom. It starts small. You walk into a store looking for a pair of jeans. But instead of finding a simple rack of pants, you're faced with dozens of styles: boot cut, skinny, straight, low rise, high waist, distressed, dark wash, light wash. After trying on 10 pairs, you finally pick one, but instead of feeling satisfied, you walk out wondering if one of the others might have been better. That small doubt, that tiny voice that says, maybe I didn't choose the best one, it doesn't go away. It lingers. Now imagine that same feeling, stretched across every part of your life. What career to pursue, where to live, who to marry, what to believe, how to spend your free time. That's not freedom, that's a trap. This phenomenon has a name: choice overload. Psychologists describe it as the point where the number of available options becomes so overwhelming that we struggle to make decisions at all. And even when we do, we're more likely to regret them. In one study, shoppers at a gourmet market were given the chance to sample jams. When they were presented with 6 options, 30% made a purchase. But when they had 24 options, only 3% bought anything. More choice didn't increase action, it froze it. Why? Because with every additional option comes a hidden cost. The cost of wondering if you made the wrong choice. The fear of missing out. The pressure to pick the best one. These aren't just annoying feelings. They have a real impact on our mental health. People dealing with choice overload often experience higher levels of anxiety, stress, and dissatisfaction. Their brains are working overtime, calculating endless what-ifs and maybes. Instead of freeing us, choices can chain us. And it's not just about the number of choices, it's also about how we deal with them. That brings us to 2 types of decision makers: maximizers and satisficers. Maximizers are people who want the best. Not just something good, not just something decent. The absolute best. They search every website, compare every review, weigh every detail on the surface. This sounds smart, careful, responsible. But there's a cost. Because maximizers are never really done choosing. Even after they make a decision, their minds keep spinning, asking, was there a better option I missed? And that question can haunt them. Instead of feeling joy, they feel regret. Instead of peace, they feel doubt. Research shows that maximizers tend to be less satisfied with their decisions, even when their outcomes are better. They're more prone to depression, more likely to feel anxious, and more often burdened by the pressure of perfection. Now meet the satisficers. Satisficers are the ones who set a standard. Say, I want a jacket that's warm, fits well, and looks okay. And once they find something that meets that standard, they go with it. They don't need the perfect jacket. They just need a good one. Satisficers don't settle because they're lazy. They settle because they know that chasing perfection is a never-ending game, one that often steals more than it gives. And here's the fascinating part. Satisficers are often happier with their choices. They feel less regret, less anxiety, more peace. In today's world, we're pushed to be maximizers. Advertisements tell us not to settle. Influencers show us the latest, the greatest, the must-haves. There's always something better around the corner, and if you're not chasing it, you're falling behind. But this mindset comes with a price. It steals contentment. It creates a life where nothing is ever good enough, where every decision feels like a high-stakes gamble, and every choice you make is haunted by the choices you didn't. Barry Schwartz doesn't just highlight this problem. He warns that our obsession with maximizing is changing the way we experience life. We've been taught to believe that more freedom, more choice, more options will lead us to happiness, but sometimes it does the opposite. The more we seek perfection, the less we appreciate what we already have. Maximizers often live in the future, in the land of what could have been. Satisficers live in the present. They choose, and they move on. Think about your own life. How often have you felt stuck between options? How many hours have you spent researching something, only to still feel unsure? How many times have you made a choice, then immediately doubted it? This isn't just about products. It's about how we view ourselves. When we believe there's always a better option out there, we start to believe we are never enough, that our choices define our worth, that one wrong decision can ruin everything. That's a heavy burden to carry. And it's not sustainable. We're not built to constantly evaluate 100 possibilities. We're not meant to compare ourselves to thousands of people every time we scroll. Our minds crave simplicity, clarity, purpose, but our culture tells us to keep looking, keep optimizing, keep wanting more. So here we are, trapped in a maze of choices, convinced that freedom is just one more decision away. But the more we chase it, the more exhausted we become. Choice is not the enemy. But when it becomes excessive, when it demands perfection and floods our minds with doubt, it stops being a gift. It becomes a burden. And yet, we keep choosing. We keep searching. Because deep down, we're afraid of missing out, afraid of settling, afraid that somewhere out there, a better life is waiting, if only we make the right choice. But maybe, just maybe, the real freedom comes not from having more choices, but from needing fewer. When we explore how choice affects our happiness, we need to talk about something that quietly builds beneath every decision we make: responsibility. When choices were few, responsibility was shared. If you only had 2 job options, or one kind of bread in the store, or one path in life, there was little room for personal blame. If things didn't work out, you could say, well, that's just how it was. The system, the world, the limits were to blame. But now? Now we live in a time where you can choose almost everything. Your job, your diet, your belief system, your lifestyle, your identity, your partner, your passions, even the apps you use to meditate or dream or fall asleep. And with all these choices comes one powerful, quiet message: it's all up to you. If your job makes you unhappy, maybe you didn't choose well. If your relationship isn't fulfilling, perhaps you ignored a red flag. If your life doesn't match your vision board, maybe you didn't try hard enough, or worse, maybe you just made bad decisions. That's the new burden. It's not just about picking something. It's about owning every possible outcome of that choice, good or bad. And if it's bad, then it must be your fault. This creates a heavy kind of pressure, because now we don't just fear failure, we fear being responsible for it. When things go wrong in a world full of options, it's not enough to be disappointed. We become self-critical. We say, I should have known better. I should have waited. I should have tried that other option. And the more we believe in unlimited freedom, the more we turn failure into personal guilt. The burden of decision, once shared with culture, community, or tradition, is now ours alone. We carry it in silence. We second-guess ourselves. We think What if I had chosen differently? And that question, it never really goes away. It sits in the back of your mind, whispering that you could have been happier, that somewhere a better version of your life exists, and you missed it. And that brings us to something even deeper: opportunity cost. Every time you choose something, you give something else up. That's what opportunity cost is: the value of what you didn't choose, the other path, the door you closed, the life that might have been. In simple terms, choosing one thing means not choosing something else. That might not seem like a big deal, but it is, because when we're flooded with choices, we become painfully aware of what we're giving up. The more options we see, the more potential versions of life we leave behind. And instead of feeling satisfied with our decisions, we start to grieve the ones we didn't make. We wonder, what if that job would have made me happier? What if that city had more opportunity? What if that partner was actually the one? This isn't just imagination, it's regret. And regret doesn't just sting, it rewrites the past. It changes how we remember the choices we made. Even a good decision can feel wrong in hindsight if we believe something better was possible. Barry Schwartz explains it this way: when options multiply, so does the possibility of regret. Every unchosen path becomes a ghost, hovering just behind the life you've chosen, whispering about what could have been. That whisper steals your joy. You could be living a good life, a secure job, a healthy relationship, decent weekends, and still feel restless. Still feel that maybe you missed something, that you could have done better. And here's the twist: the more carefully we choose, the more we expect perfection. We tell ourselves, if I've put this much thought into it, the outcome should be amazing. So, when it isn't, we don't just feel regret, we feel betrayed, we feel cheated. But we're the ones who built those expectations. This cycle creates a strange paradox. We strive for freedom, so we chase more choices, but those choices make us anxious. They increase responsibility, magnify regret, and reduce satisfaction. So we search again, hoping to find the one perfect choice that will finally make us feel whole. But that's not how the mind works. Because as soon as the choice is made, the mind shifts its focus, not on what you gained, but what you gave up. It zooms in on the lost opportunities, on the possibilities left behind. And the more options we had, the more vivid those lost paths appear. In one experiment, participants who had to choose between a few paintings were happier with their final choice than those who had dozens to pick from. Why? Because fewer options meant fewer what-ifs. Less comparison, less regret. We think freedom is about having more options, but real peace may come from fewer. Because fewer options don't just make choices easier. They make us kinder to ourselves. They reduce self-blame. They help us commit. They let us focus on what we have, rather than what we've lost. More isn't always better. More choices mean more pressure, more regret, more invisible burden. And every time we choose, we don't just make a decision, we take responsibility for an entire world of alternatives that we didn't pick. That's the hidden cost of freedom. Not just the weight of deciding, but the weight of everything we didn't choose. Ever feel like your brain just shuts down halfway through the day? You're not alone. Imagine this. You wake up, and the decision marathon begins. What outfit sets the tone for the day? Cereal or toast? Reply to urgent emails now or after coffee? All these small choices quietly drain your mental battery. You haven't even left the house, and you're already fatigued. That creeping exhaustion has a name: decision fatigue. It's the mental wear and tear caused by the constant need to choose. The more decisions you make, the worse the quality of each becomes. Your mind starts to crave shortcuts, impulsive picks, knee-jerk reactions, or total avoidance. The brain, it turns out, wasn't built for endless crossroad moments. Choices everywhere. But at what cost? Our modern lives are flooded with options. Want dinner? You've got 50 tabs open just looking at takeout. Streaming tonight? Scroll endlessly. Buy a new phone? Good luck narrowing down the top 10. At first glance, all this seems like freedom. But too many options don't empower us. They paralyze us. Each new possibility steals a bit more clarity, and the stress builds. That's when default behavior kicks in. We go with whatever's familiar, not what's best. Or worse, we opt out entirely, letting decisions pile up like unopened mail. The irony, in trying to improve our lives with variety, we end up burnt out, frozen, and anxious. The trap of high expectations. More options seem like a gift, but they come with hidden strings. Expectation inflation. When we're flooded with possibilities, we subconsciously believe a perfect choice is out there. So we dig, scroll, compare, and delay, trying to unearth that flawless decision. But perfection is an illusion, and when reality fails to measure up, disappointment hits harder. That's when regret creeps in. You start second-guessing. What if I'd chosen the other one? Did I miss something better? The joy of the choice fades, and you're left replaying paths not taken. This is the essence of the paradox of choice. The belief that more choices should make us happier, but in fact, they often do the opposite. The happiness equation turns upside down. Let's take it further. Psychologists have studied this phenomenon deeply. One study found that people offered 24 varieties of jam were far less likely to make a purchase than those offered only 6. Why? Fewer options mean less stress, quicker decisions, and more satisfaction. As the menu of life expands, satisfaction shrinks, the burden of choosing intensifies, and instead of feeling free, we feel trapped in a maze of maybes. We think, if I choose wrong, it's my fault. This is a new kind of pressure, the emotional tax of total freedom. When something goes wrong, there's no one else to blame. Not the system, not fate, not the lack of opportunity. You had every option, and still, things didn't work out. The blame lands squarely on your shoulders. The emotional weight behind every pick. What's often overlooked is that each decision, big or small, carries emotional weight. Not just the risk of regret, but the weight of responsibility. More freedom means more control, but more control also means more accountability. You're not just picking dinner, you're choosing your lifestyle, your identity, your destiny. And when the outcome isn't what you hoped for, it's personal. You start wondering if you're just bad at making decisions. That self-blame is a slow, corrosive force that eats away at confidence and joy. Simplicity is power. Here's the twist. We don't need endless options to be happy. In fact, limiting choices can boost satisfaction. Think of how Steve Jobs wore the same outfit daily. Why? Fewer choices, less fatigue. Or how elite athletes automate routines to preserve focus for what really matters. It's not about being boring, it's about being smart with mental energy. By simplifying our choices, we create space for clarity, presence, and real joy. So what do we do with all this? It starts with awareness. Recognize when you're overwhelmed, not weak, just human. Start limiting low-impact decisions. Create routines. Embrace good enough over perfect. Set boundaries around options. The goal isn't to avoid choices, it's to reclaim your power in making them. Because when you do, You don't just make better decisions, you live a lighter, more intentional life. This is the paradox of our time, and it's real. We're told that more is better, but maybe, just maybe, less is the secret we've been missing all along. Welcome to Narrative Society. If this insight made you pause, reflect, or breathe easier, hit that subscribe button. There's more where this came from, because every week we help you make sense of the overwhelming world.
And remember, not every choice needs to be perfect. Some just need to be made.
In today's digital age, our lives are inundated with curated snapshots of others' successes, adventures, and milestones. Platforms like Instagram and Facebook present highlight reels, often leading us to measure our own lives against these polished portrayals. This phenomenon, known as social comparison, can significantly impact our self-perception and mental well-being. Social comparison involves evaluating ourselves in relation to others. While it can motivate self-improvement, excessive comparison, especially on social media, often leads to feelings of inadequacy and envy. Studies have shown that individuals who frequently compare themselves to others online are more likely to experience lower self-esteem and increased depressive symptoms. The curated nature of social media amplifies this effect. Users tend to share positive aspects of their lives, creating unrealistic standards. This skewed representation can lead individuals to believe they are falling short, fostering negative emotions and self-doubt. Over time, this constant comparison can erode self-esteem and contribute to mental health issues, such as anxiety and depression. Parallel to the challenges of social comparison is the concept of hedonic adaptation. This psychological phenomenon refers to our tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness, regardless of positive or negative life changes. For instance, acquiring a new car or receiving a promotion may boost happiness temporarily, but over time the excitement wanes, and we revert to our previous emotional state. Hedonic adaptation suggests that the pursuit of material possessions or achievements may not lead to lasting happiness. As we acclimate to new circumstances, the initial joy diminishes, prompting a continuous cycle of seeking new experiences or possessions to regain that fleeting happiness. This cycle, often referred to as the hedonic treadmill, can lead to perpetual dissatisfaction and a constant chase for more. Understanding hedonic adaptation is crucial in recognizing the limitations of external sources of happiness. It highlights the importance of internal factors such as gratitude and mindfulness in cultivating lasting contentment. By acknowledging this tendency, individuals can shift focus from external acquisitions to internal fulfillment, breaking free from the cycle of temporary satisfaction. Navigating the modern landscape. In a world dominated by social media and consumerism, being aware of social comparison and hedonic adaptation is essential. Recognizing the impact of these phenomena on our mental health can empower us to make conscious choices that prioritize well-being over external validation. By fostering self-awareness and focusing on intrinsic values, we can navigate the complexities of modern life with resilience and authenticity. In a world overflowing with choices, the idea that less is more might seem counterintuitive. Yet, as we've explored, an abundance of options can lead to decision fatigue, increased anxiety, and diminished satisfaction. Psychologist Barry Schwartz, in his book The Paradox of Choice, argues that eliminating consumer choices can greatly reduce anxiety for shoppers. The concept of overchoice suggests that while some choices are beneficial, too many options cause decision paralysis and dissatisfaction. This phenomenon is evident in various aspects of life, from selecting a breakfast cereal among dozens of varieties to making significant life decisions like choosing a career path. Moreover, the constant bombardment of choices can lead to a cycle of seeking new options, hoping for better outcomes, only to find ourselves back at the starting point of dissatisfaction. This cycle is exacerbated by social comparisons, where we measure our choices against others, often leading to feelings of inadequacy. However, embracing simplicity can be a powerful antidote. By intentionally limiting our choices, we can reduce the cognitive load and focus on what truly matters. This approach aligns with the principle of satisficing, where we aim for a choice that meets our needs rather than the elusive best option. Such a mindset shift can lead to greater contentment and well-being. In practice, this might involve setting boundaries on decision-making, such as limiting the number of options we consider, or establishing routines to minimize daily choices. By doing so, we free up mental resources for more meaningful pursuits and reduce the stress associated with constant decision-making. Ultimately, recognizing the limits of our decision-making capacity and the potential downsides of excessive choices allows us to navigate life with greater ease and satisfaction. Embracing the philosophy that sometimes less truly is more can lead us to a more fulfilling and balanced existence. So, what if the secret to a more fulfilling life isn't in choosing more, but in choosing less? We've explored how too many choices can wear us down, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. From decision fatigue to social comparison, from missed opportunities to the crushing weight of responsibility, it's clear the modern world's obsession with infinite options often comes at a cost. But here's the good news: you have the power to take control, not by adding more to your plate, but by intentionally removing what doesn't serve you. Now, here's something powerful you can do right after this video. Try the Choice Fast Challenge. For the next 7 days, limit your decisions in 3 areas of your life. It could be wearing the same set of clothes each day, Steve Jobs style, eating a similar breakfast each morning, reducing your screen time by choosing only one social media app per day. The goal? Free up mental space. Feel the difference. And at the end of the week, reflect. Did you feel more focused? Less stressed? Happier? Let us know in the comments how it goes. And remember, it's not about having nothing to choose from. It's about choosing what matters.
You've been watching Narrative Society. If you found value in this episode, give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and hit that subscribe button to join our growing community of deep thinkers.
Simplify, reflect, choose wisely. We'll see you in the next one.